So did my game get funded by the government? Well, I've been working on Moonbrella for 6 months at this point. It's a 2D platformer Metroidvania with no jump button, where you upgrade your umbrella in order to reach the moon. It was a solid 6 months of near constant motivation. But sadly, the honeymoon period was over. I'm less than half done, but I've done all the tasks that I find the most interesting. The player movement was refined, the umbrella upgrades were done, the high-level world design of how all the zones interconnect was solid. Hell, even the menus were done, which I bizarrely liked doing. I used UI Toolkit in Unity, which is familiar to my web development background. But it was also around this time I lost my web development job. The company I worked for shut down. It wasn't a huge shock. The writing had been on the wall for a while. And hey, now I was full-time on game dev, and I didn't even have to choose to quit my job. But it was almost serendipitous that at the same time that I lost my job, a new round of funding had opened from Screen Queensland, a government initiative to fund game projects. This was the same organisation that gave me an award in the previous devlog, and one of the representatives encouraged me to apply. Now this application was no small feat. If you were going to get up to $200,000, you'd better put in the work, and it's a lot of work for a maybe. But since I was encouraged to apply and I'd just lost my job, I figured I'd give it a go. So I made a 12-page pitch document outlining how the game works, a separate 12-page project plan, including a timeline, market analysis and marketing plan, a budget spreadsheet, a gameplay video and a playable vertical slice, which luckily I already had, and I even sought feedback from a few people on my application, including Screen Queensland themselves. And after all that, I finally submitted my application after 6 weeks of working on it. And then it was time to play the waiting game. I wouldn't find out the results for up to 10 weeks. And since I had to wait so long, I'm gonna make you wait while I tell you about how I felt about the tasks ahead. I'm committed to finishing the game, which means these things have to get done at some point. In particular, sound design is probably lagging the furthest behind schedule. I just find it really monotonous. Level design, which I have to be in a particular mood to do. Because I try hard to meticulously place every ledge and try to ease people into new mechanics, it ends up being hard to start with a blank canvas. Art is something that I don't mind doing sometimes, and I like having a variety of things to do. But there is going to be a lot of it in this game. Each of the roughly 16 areas are going to have their own unique background and set dressing. But luckily, if I get this grant, I budgeted for an additional artist to help out. Surprise! About 5 weeks after I submitted, I got an email. My heart started palpitating. Thank you for applying, yada 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 yada. We are emailing you to inform that your application has been unsuccessful. How long do you think I spent on this application? 20 hours? 40 hours? Try 90 hours! All for nothing. I still had the documents, but I didn't have much use for them. I could apply for the next round of grants, but the game would be pretty close to done by then. They could also help to get a publisher, but I'm not interested in doing that. At least I did have a full plan and schedule for the rest of production. I also had a pitch document, which is required for PlayStation. But other than that, the main lesson I got out of this was don't spend that much time on a maybe. I shouldn't feel too bad. They did get almost double the amount of applications of any previous round, but all my plans were uprooted. This grant would have covered all of my software expenses, new capsule art, paying my music composer a better rate, hiring an additional artist, and heck, even paying me minimum wage. I was in the Valley of Despair in more ways than one. The Valley of Despair can mean a few things, but in the context of a project, at the start, progress is rapid. You're adding new features, discovering what the game is, and doing the most fun stuff. But that starts to dwindle. And as you reach the middle of a project, you're also nowhere near the finish line, which, as you get closer, can provide a different kind of motivation. At this point, I was right in the center of the valley. My motivation for the project was at an all-time low. So I want to talk a bit about motivation. I pretty much only work when I'm motivated. Some people say that they're able to be disciplined and work set hours each day. But me? I feel like I have to be motivated to work. Luckily, motivation comes pretty often. After enough time, I just get bored of not being productive and get the itch to do something. If I'm gonna work on something, it might as well be my game project. Sometimes motivation is intrinsic, where you just get the feeling you want to do something from inside yourself. But at this point, that resource was running low. And sometimes it's extrinsic, where external factors like deadlines can help you feel more motivated. But I'm setting my own schedule. What deadlines do I have? I go to a lot of events where I playtest my game. Watching people playtest is a huge motivating factor for me. Every time I find subtle things that players just aren't getting, and it makes me think of ways to improve the game. Luckily for me, I have a big event lined up, which I'll talk more about in the next video. It can be easy to just drop a project when it stops being fun, and you don't have anyone else telling you to finish it. But the knowledge that the valley exists, and that I've come out of it before, is its own source of motivation. And although I have a mountain to climb, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's like looking at the sun from Pluto, but I see it. I will see this project through. And if you want to be notified when it comes out, wishlist Moonbrella on Steam. Speaking of seeing things through, my previous game, Sumorbit, is finally coming to PlayStation, meaning it'll be out on all consoles as well as Steam, completing its 5-year development journey. You grab with your moon and bounce with your planet to launch opponents out of the solar system. Patreon members get to customize a planet to sumo wrestle at the end of each video. Congrats to Spider Mummy Az for winning. If you want to get Sumorbit on PlayStation, add it to your wishlist.